What if the reason your business isn't growing isn't because you lack talent, resources, or strategy, but because you're simply thinking too small? What if the real key to scaling isn't about optimizing what you already do, but setting a goal so big, so impossible, that it forces you to completely reinvent the way you work? That's exactly the premise behind Dr. Benjamin Hardy's groundbreaking book, The Science of Scaling. In this video, we're going to break down every chapter of this powerful guide to rapid growth. By the end, you'll understand why most companies fail to scale and how you can create a system that grows bigger, faster, and with far more focus than you ever thought possible. So let's dive in. The Science of Scaling. The book opens with the story of John F. Kennedy. In 1961, Kennedy stood before Congress and presented a bold vision. The United States would put a man on the moon before the end of the decade. At the time, this goal seemed outrageous. America had barely managed to send anyone into space, and the Soviets were far ahead. Yet, Kennedy's declaration wasn't just about space. It was about setting a goal so big it would force the nation to innovate, focus, and organize itself in ways that smaller goals never could. And it worked. By 1969, Neil Armstrong was walking on the moon. Hardy argues that most businesses fail to scale because they set goals that are too safe, too small, and too linear. Incremental goals keep companies stuck in complexity. What leaders need are impossible goals. Objectives so ambitious they force radical clarity, innovation, and simplicity. This idea forms the basis of Hardy's scaling framework, built around three elements. 1. Frame. The goals you set and the lens you use to see your opportunities. 2. Floor. The boundaries you set, the things you refuse to do, the noise you cut out. 3. Focus. The clear path and partnerships you pursue to make the impossible possible. With that foundation, let's move into the first part of the framework. Chapter 1. Set a goal so big you think it's impossible. The story of Alicia Alt sets the stage for one of the most powerful principles in the science of scaling, the transformative power of impossible goals. Alicia had spent nearly 2 decades working in the credit industry, offering coaching to help people improve their credit scores. She had deep expertise and had even developed a groundbreaking tool called Level Up Score, a software solution designed to give consumers customized, step-by-step action plans for achieving their financial goals. It was an innovation that could have revolutionized the credit repair space. But here's the catch. For years, Alicia was stuck in busyness. She spent her days juggling coaching calls, managing her existing business, raising her kids, and firefighting the constant small issues that consume entrepreneurs. She was surviving, not scaling. Even with an innovative product in her hands, she couldn't break free from the grind to take it to the world. When Alicia joined Hardy's training program, she was asked to set a 90-day goal. At first, she aimed for 100 new clients. To her, that felt ambitious. But Hardy challenged her to think again. Was that goal really impossible? Or was it just more of the same, requiring extra hustle and extra hours? Alicia quickly realized that 100 clients, though difficult, was achievable with enough brute force effort. It was not truly transformative. That's when she rewired her thinking. Instead of aiming for 100, she aimed for 1,000 clients in 90 days. Now, that was impossible in her current circumstances. With her existing methods, cold calls, one-on-one pitches, endless hours, it simply couldn't be done. To get there, she would need a radically different approach. This shift changed everything. By setting an impossible goal, Alicia forced her brain to start filtering for innovative solutions. Instead of asking, how can I work harder to get 100 clients? She began asking, how could I multiply my reach by 10 without multiplying my effort? The answer soon came, partnerships. If she could convince just one software company already serving thousands of credit repair businesses to integrate Level Up Score, she could leapfrog years of effort. Within weeks, Alicia secured a partnership that instantly exposed her product to over 8,000 companies. In one stroke, she achieved more progress than she had in years of hard work. Hardy's point is clear. Ordinary goals keep you busy. Impossible goals force you to simplify, focus, and innovate. Goals aren't just about targets. They're psychological filters. They shape what you see, what you ignore, and the opportunities you recognize. Small goals dull your vision. Impossible goals sharpen it to a razor's edge. The science behind this is rooted in psychology. Human perception is goal-driven. Our brains filter information based on what we aim for. If your goals are small, your filter is weak and you get lost in the noise. But when your goals are impossibly large, your filter becomes precise. You see opportunities you never noticed before. That is the science of scaling. Chapter 2. Set a timeline so short you think it's impossible. If the size of your goal determines its power, the speed of your timeline determines your urgency. Hardy argues that most leaders sabotage themselves by stretching goals out over years, even decades. A 10-year plan may sound visionary, but it creates complacency. You think you have time, so you delay. You compromise. You drift back into old patterns. Instead, Hardy suggests compressing the timeline until it feels impossible. By doing this, you create the intensity and urgency necessary to innovate. A long deadline gives you the illusion of safety. A short deadline forces you into action. Consider Kennedy's moonshot. He didn't just say, "We'll go to the moon someday." He declared that America would land a man on the moon and return him safely to Earth before the decade was out. That urgency galvanized an entire nation. It pushed NASA to innovate technologies that didn't even exist at the time. Within 8 years, the goal was achieved. Hardy applies the same principle to business. He challenges leaders to aim for 10x growth within 3 years, not 10. Why 3 years? Because 3 years is close enough to feel urgent, but long enough to achieve extraordinary transformation. With such a timeline, there's no room for procrastination, no room for hedging bets. You're forced to eliminate distractions and focus entirely on what can move the needle now. When the clock is ticking, you stop optimizing existing systems and start creating entirely new ones. You stop making safe choices and start making bold ones. A short, impossible timeline forces you into breakthroughs. Hardy stresses, the combination of an impossible goal with an impossible timeline is where real scaling begins. One without the other is incomplete. A big goal with no urgency is a dream. A tight deadline with no ambition is just pressure, but together they create transformation. Chapter 3. Be more honest with yourself and quit the wrong stuff faster. This chapter addresses one of the biggest reasons companies fail to scale: lack of honesty. Too many entrepreneurs lie to themselves about what's working. They keep weak clients, cling to outdated services, and justify distractions, all because of fear. Hardy calls this being below the floor. The floor is your standard. It's what you refuse to tolerate. When your floor is low, you allow mediocrity into your business. Projects that drain you, clients who don't fit, services that dilute your brand. When your floor is high, you eliminate all of that. You stop lying to yourself and admit, this isn't working. This doesn't fit. This has to go. Hardy illustrates this with the story of Jekyll and Hyde Advertising, an agency with decades of success in helping products break into retail. Over time, however, they became diluted. Out of fear of being left behind in the digital age, they expanded into areas like Amazon campaigns and social media ads, services outside their core strength. They lowered their floor. As a result, they became unfocused. When the company set a new scale goal of $100 million in revenue within 3 years, everything changed. That impossible goal exposed the truth. Their side services weren't just unhelpful, they were dragging the company down. So they cut them. They raised their floor, eliminated low-value clients, and doubled down on what they were the best in the world at, getting products into mass retail. The result? Rapid growth, renewed clarity, and high-value deals that aligned with their true expertise. Hardy's lesson here is powerful. Scaling isn't just about adding more. It's about cutting ruthlessly. The faster you quit the wrong stuff, the faster you can succeed with the right stuff. Every day you cling to mediocrity, you pay the price in lost focus and lost momentum. Being honest with yourself means asking tough questions. Which of our clients don't actually fit our mission? Which products or services are draining resources without delivering exponential results? Which of my own fears are keeping me stuck? And then acting on those answers without delay. Hardy warns, you cannot scale dishonesty. You cannot scale complexity. And you cannot scale while pretending things are working when they're not. Raising your floor is the discipline that clears the path for everything else. Chapter 4. Simplify your system. One of Hardy's most direct messages is that complexity kills scalability. Many companies fail not because their ideas are bad, but because they pile on too many products, services, and processes. The result? A tangled system that slows everything down. You can't scale something that's bloated and confusing. Simplification, however, is powerful. It means identifying the single path that best aligns with your impossible goal and building your business around it. Hardy insists, you don't need 5 strategies or 20 product lines. You need one clear, scalable model. He draws on Tim Grover's philosophy. Don't dabble in many things, excel at one. When Kobe Bryant was asked what he did, he simply said, I give out numbers. He wasn't trying to be a part-time musician or businessman. His focus was razor sharp. That clarity is what makes someone unstoppable. Hardy applies this to business. If you're offering too many services, you're diluting your brand. If you're juggling multiple systems, you're wasting resources. Simplification may require painful cuts, closing divisions, letting go of clients, or abandoning pet projects. But by pruning complexity, you free your organization to scale rapidly. The key question Hardy asks is, what's the one thing you can be the absolute best at? Everything else belongs below the floor. Once you simplify, your system becomes lighter, faster, and infinitely more scalable. Chapter 5. Do the work to engineer a focused path and scalable model. Once you've raised your frame and floor, you must create a model that can actually scale. Hardy warns against building a business around yourself. Many leaders fall into the hero trap. They become the genius at the center with everyone else acting as helpers. But if the business depends on you personally, it isn't scalable. To escape this trap, you need systems, processes, and people that function without you. That means documenting workflows, codifying best practices, and hiring top talent who can execute better than you could. Instead of being the bottleneck, your job is to design a machine that runs smoothly regardless of your presence. Hardy calls this engineering focus. Your business must have one scalable model and one clear path to growth. When every decision, resource, and partnership points toward that path, you create momentum that compounds. Dabbling in multiple directions fractures energy and stalls scaling. The focus also extends to people. You need to surround yourself with A-level talent. Those who deliver 10x results compared to average performers. These people are multipliers. They push your vision forward faster than you ever could alone. Without them, scaling stalls. With them, scaling accelerates. Ultimately, Hardy insists that scaling isn't about working harder. It's about creating systems that work harder than you do. It's about building a business model that can expand without demanding more and more from you personally. Chapter 6. Build something that can scale beyond yourself. The final step is building something that lives beyond you. True scaling means creating an organization, culture, or system that continues to grow without your constant involvement. If everything depends on your presence, the ceiling is low. If your business thrives without you, the ceiling disappears. To achieve this, you must release control. This requires trust, trusting your people, your systems, and the culture you've built. Hardy emphasizes that culture is your ultimate floor. It determines what is tolerated, what is rejected, and how your team operates when you're not in the room. A strong culture keeps everyone aligned with the impossible goal. A weak culture unravels the moment you step back. Hardy stresses the importance of defining your organization so clearly that it attracts only the right people and repels the wrong ones. This clarity creates conviction, and conviction builds culture. When your team owns the mission as deeply as you do, your company can scale infinitely. Building beyond yourself also benefits your life. It frees you from being the bottleneck. It allows you to step back, pursue bigger opportunities, or even enjoy more personal freedom. Most importantly, it ensures that the impact of your work outlasts you. Scaling beyond yourself is about legacy. It's about creating something larger, stronger, and more enduring than any single individual. Hardy's message is clear. When you set impossible goals, simplify your system, engineer focus, and build culture, you don't just grow a business. You build a movement capable of lasting far beyond your involvement. The origin story of Scaling.com. Hardy closes the book with his own story. After years of studying psychology and business strategy, he realized that scaling wasn't being taught properly. Most experts were either too academic or too tactical. There was no clear, practical framework that actually worked. So he created Scaling.com and developed the scaling framework with his co-author, Blake Erickson. Together, they've trained thousands of leaders to stop playing small and start scaling big. The results have been extraordinary. Companies going from stagnation to hundreds of millions in revenue within just a few years. The core message of the book is simple. Scaling isn't a mystery, but it does require courage. It requires impossible goals, urgent timelines, ruthless honesty, radical simplification, focused systems, and the humility to build something bigger than yourself. If you embrace these principles, Hardy argues, you won't just scale your business, you'll change your life. So what's your moonshot? What impossible goal can you set that will force you to think bigger, move faster, and simplify your life and business? The science of scaling isn't just about growing companies. It's about shifting your mindset from incremental to exponential. If you found this summary helpful, make sure to subscribe for more book breakdowns that give you the tools to grow, lead, and succeed. And remember, you can't scale complexity, but with the right frame, floor, and focus, you can scale the impossible.